Nigeria's shift towards self-sufficiency in petroleum products is reshaping the global energy landscape. But here's where it gets controversial. According to BIMCO's latest shipping number of the week, the start of operations at Nigeria's Dangote Refinery is significantly impacting the country's import patterns for both clean petroleum products, CPP, and crude oil. Niels Rasmussen, BIMCO's chief shipping analyst, reports that during the first 7 months of 2025, Nigeria's seaborne imports of CPP plummeted by 39% compared to the same period in 2024, settling at 230,000 barrels per day, KPPD. This decline follows a 19% reduction seen in 2024. The primary driver behind this drop is the commencement of operations at the massive 650 KPPD Dangote Refinery, which began its operations early last year. By June 2025, the refinery was already producing 550 KPPD, according to company officials. One of the most significant changes is the sharp reduction in imports from Northern Europe. Before the Dangote Refinery came online, Nigeria relied heavily on Northern Europe for its CPP needs, importing an average of 271 kbpd annually, which accounted for 60% of its total seaborne CPP imports. However, in 2025, these imports have plummeted to just 48 kbpd, representing only 21% of total imports. These figures highlight the refinery's effectiveness in boosting domestic production and reducing Nigeria's reliance on foreign imports. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite this progress, the Dangote Refinery has faced challenges in securing a steady supply of Nigerian crude oil. As a result, the refinery has had to turn to imported crude, particularly from the United States, to meet its production demands. Crude oil imports into Nigeria have surged dramatically, rising from almost negligible levels in 2022 to 2023 to 179 kbpd year-to-date in 2025, with a peak of 434 kbpd in July 2025. Data from Kepler reveals that in July, the refinery's imports of U.S. crude oil exceeded its use of domestic crude for the first time. This shift is attributed to several factors, including better supply security, higher yields, and more competitive pricing offered by U.S. crude compared to Nigerian crude. Interestingly, despite the increased CPP production at the Dangote Refinery, Nigeria's crude oil exports have remained relatively stable in 2025. This stability suggests that the country is balancing its domestic needs with its export commitments, a delicate equilibrium that could shift in the coming months. Dangote officials are optimistic about the future, projecting that the refinery will transition entirely to locally sourced crude before the end of the year. They also anticipate improvements in processing efficiency, which could push the refinery's capacity to 700 kpd by the end of 2025. This expansion could reduce the need for crude oil imports and further decrease CPP imports, potentially affecting the shipping industry by reducing the demand for Suezmaxes, VLCCs, Handysize, and MR product tankers. What do you think about the Dangote Refinery's impact on Nigeria's energy sector? Is the increased reliance on U.S. crude a temporary measure, or could it become a long-term strategy? Share your thoughts in the comments below.